Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we are following on our series which we actually filmed ages ago, so apologies for the delay. What was that?
Continue.
Basically, so in today's video we are going to talk about the cons to interior. So
we did pros first time, now we're going to do cons.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, we did the pros to the interior. We've got to do this video is the cons to the interior. We'll do the pros to the exterior and the cons to the exterior.
Yeah, just to reiterate, our opinion,
our estate, our builder.
And it's a 2-bed. So we're basing this off a 2-bed. People who have been watching, hopefully they've gained a bit of experience on our life and what we do and what our needs are and whatnot, and if that suits our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And hopefully give you a bit of an understanding whether a 2-bed is right or wrong for you, or say that's a good summary, because it's like you're either a flat earther or you're a not a flat earther.
Yeah. What are you?
I'm not a flat earther.
I don't think it's completely round. I don't think NASA are this perfect sphere. I don't think we're flat, but I don't think we're completely sphere either. I feel like the pictures of Earth aren't actually the pictures of Earth.
The first moon landing was fake as well.
Agreed. I don't think anyone's ever been to the moon.
That's a big statement, that is.
Right, so we're going to talk about the cons to the exterior. Now, that we hope, obviously this is a negative video, but we hope you don't...
Cons to the interior.
We hope that you obviously take everything that we happen to us, some with a pinch of salt, because obviously not every house will be the same, not every developer, not every site.
We apologise as well if you live in this, like, we're not being rude, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you know us from our estate, because I know some people watch us from our estate.
Apologies.
You might know some of the things that we're saying might have happened to you, they might not have, but we'll wait and see. Okay, so first of all, which was a huge one for me, I've got written down, ours wasn't clean. So when we moved in on the 22nd of December. We got the keys at about 4:30 in the afternoon. It was raining, it was dark, obviously it was winter, and they said that it had been like properly cleaned. It hadn't been. It was dust and dirt everywhere. I went round with like an anti-bac wipe and wiped all the kitchen sides and the kitchen cabinets. Why do I keep saying cabinets and cupboards in one? Cabinets, and it was like a terracotta orange colour where the dust had obviously all settled. Whether it had been cleaned or hadn't, if it had been cleaned, it had been cleaned like weeks ago.
It hadn't been cleaned. Right. Yeah, I'm just gonna give him a bit more context. No shadow of a doubt, we were rushed in. So they wanted us to complete before Christmas. So obviously the date we got the keys was literally the last day of them working, and they obviously wanted to push us to exchange and complete before Christmas, basically, so they could then basically transfer the bills over to us.
Yeah.
We think they needed another 2 or 3 weeks on that, probably 2 weeks on the house. Firstly, to clean it, because it was like it was quite anticlimactic, wasn't it?
Yeah, we opened the door. The first thing, so we've got, which we are going to do an updated house tour soon, guys, so you will see all the options that we chose, our house, because although if you've been watching our videos and you'll see the snippets of the house,
if you're new, you might not have gone back, so we're going to give you a little update, you know what I mean?
So we have marble tiles in our hallway, and we ended up having to have it re-grouted, so it was white grouting in between our marble tiles, which if it stayed white would look lovely, but because of the workmen obviously trailing mud and crap and everything through the house, the white was actually like that terracotta orange colour. And it was the first thing that I noticed. I opened the door and went, oh, the floor's like orange. Is it open? It's already open.
It's open.
Oh, the grout's dirty. So that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
We ended up getting it scraped out and re-grouted with grey, which has lasted really well.
Not that it matters, and this is our video and our house. My mother's moved into one and her house was spotless.
Ours was really, really bad. So there was like plaster snots all on the floor that you had to go around and scrape. There was a Stanley knife blade left in one of the rooms. So like, you know, the tip of a Stanley knife. Now, obviously we don't have children or dogs, but if we'd moved in and just let our child...
They passed that off.
They passed that off as safe.
Yeah.
With a... And this Stanley knife blade wasn't like a tiny little... It was like...
It was your standard Stanley blade.
Yeah, it was like the top, things like that. That shouldn't have been a case. They should have gone round. They should have obviously done a double check, cleaned it all. Now, obviously, you guys know we didn't go with the carpet with Taylor Wimpey. So the reason why there was loads of plaster
There's
snots,
no excuse for it.
There's no excuse, but they hadn't dealt with it because they knew that we weren't having the carpet with them. However, it just meant that Ashley and also the people that were fitting our carpet had to go through and scrape these plastic snots off the floor to level it, so it didn't obviously protrude in the carpet or damage the carpet.
Next one, I think the elephant in the room, the size. Now, I don't want to say it's a good size, right? Depending on where you buy, will differ in a 2-bedroom size.
Yes.
Facts. So
different developers as well.
Yeah, but obviously forget other Taylor Wimpey.
Wimpey.
But it's important that my friend's got a 2-bed, my mum's got a 2-bed, and we've got a 2-bed.
All three.
They're all different sizes.
Yeah.
Now, yes, they have slightly different. So, like, they have a Beckford, they have a Camford, they have.
Is it a Dadford? Is that
so
one?
They have different styles. However, the sizing is like quite a difference.
This 2-bedroom is a good size. It's perfectly livable for a couple, and we could introduce our first child here. We could have a pet here, but
there's a few. I feel like the kitchen, in my opinion, should have at least one more cabinet for storage.
Yeah.
Minimum, 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I
feel like there's a cupboard in our living room, which could be half the size, and you could gain more space in the living room.
Yeah.
The downstairs toilet could be a little bit smaller, and you could gain more hallway or kitchen. The hallway in respect is huge, but you could also shorten or make the width. Like, the hallway doesn't have to be as big as it is. You could gain in the living room or the kitchen.
I think it's like, I mean, obviously they're the experts in there, but it's like the toilet could be, if the toilet was in a little bit of a different position and the sink was you'd create more space for like a shoe rack, which that minimum was like, if the sink in the downstairs toilet was moved over like 10 or 20 mil, you'd be at, do you know what I mean? But but it's them things that...
Our sink is in the corner, which is nice, but at the same time, if it was just like on one wall, you'd gain space for cabinets or something, or you'd be able to do something under it. But because it's a corner unit, it
takes up both walls.
Yeah.
So then
another thing with the size, which is kind of like our sales team's fault, is the fact that the showroom is never going to be the same as your home. So measuring walls in a showroom, that's my biggest advice. Don't bother doing it.
You can get a rough gauge.
Yeah.
But my God, we were stung.
Yeah, so basically they told us that our house type was the same as the showroom. It's not. It's about oh God,
a metre and a half in length and it was too late for us. Like, it was too late. Oh.
We'd gone so far in the process, we paid for our options and picked our options. So truthfully, just be careful. That's obviously down to your sales team, and again, depending on how they are with you and stuff. Like, we got lied to and we were too far in to pull out. Not that it was a deal breaker, but we had chose a bigger sofa for our living room, and obviously we had to change our sofa type. We panicked because we've obviously got this booth dining table, and we thought this isn't going to fit, and we were thinking we bought this outright. We'd spent a lot of money on this. It was kind of like panic set in because we were thinking we had to change our sofa, we had to sell the dining room table. Now, going back to the size, that will depend on your furniture and what you choose to have. Obviously, we've got quite a big dining room booth. You could have a small little bistro table in the corner and make this a huge living room.
What's the thing you don't like the most
About our house?
About the interior?
About the interior?
What's the biggest con that you think? If you've already said it, say it again.
Probably that cupboard there. Don't get me wrong, it is a godsend. But that's like a mini room. You could make that an office. You could have a desk in there. It's that big, really. Don't get me wrong, you'd feel claustrophobic and you can't stand up in it, but you could make that, if you were a stay-at-home worker, you could turn that into your little office space. That's why I think if you've got loads of storage...
But you could,
yeah.
you could...
Loads of people turn that into, like, games rooms,
I could stick my Xbox and stuff under there, but at the moment, that leads on to another thing. With our, not sure with everyone, our loft isn't boarded. And I think, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, I think majority of new builds, they don't have the lofts boarded. But obviously, we could have it boarded. We've got to pay for it. So then we could put more stuff, we could stick stuff upstairs. Like, everything that's in there could go in the loft, pretty much. So then we could do something else with the cupboard. We could even knock a wall. I mean, we're not going to, but
yeah.
If we were like, do you know what I mean? But
obviously the stairs is there, so you couldn't completely knock that out unless you wanted a slanted ceiling.
Slanted ceiling?
Would you really? You'd rather a slanted ceiling?
You like curved ceiling, so it makes no odds, does it?
Yeah, I would have a curve. Yeah, I would have it slanted, but I don't know how much more you would gain there, because if it's slanted, you wouldn't be able to have the sofa up against it, because your head would be like...
You would have more space in your thing.
You could probably put a seat there. We could have had that three-seater. The main bedroom, that is not big. So we've got a king size bed. Yeah.
It's the room is made for a double bed.
They're 2 double rooms, aren't they?
So like our king size is in there.
Oh yeah, and you can get bedside tables and everything, but
it's slightly more snug than it should be.
I like that though, because I personally have always, like, a bedroom should feel cosy and comfortable and nice. I don't want this big, open.
I wasn't yawning. I was not yawning. I wasn't.
I was thinking, going back to how we mentioned about an old build to a new build, we'll just quickly go over this because we are talking about a new build. We mentioned in the pros video that obviously you get to spend as much and little as you want with your options. Everything's new and you get to choose all your options. Obviously, on to that is if you don't do that, you don't get it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, so you can keep the budget as small and go basic range as anything, but you still got to pay for it. You don't get a kitchen included like you would in an old build, and you can still choose everything new. Obviously, choose all your options, do everything brand new and clean on a renovation, and pick your options to your taste. But you have to on a renovation, whereas this, you just don't get it.
However, our next door neighbour, so that house wasn't sold, and they become, basically with a new build, if they're building a house, and let's just say it takes a year, right, so people will understand, let's just say it takes a year, they have a schedule, and if someone doesn't buy that house, say within the first 4 months, then after that first 4 months, they then have to start saying, okay, why isn't it selling? And then they'll start like putting things into the house
as an incentive,
so like the
upgraded options,
so like
free of charge that you don't have to pay for, which basically means, to put into perspective, there's 2 houses opposite us. One is sold, one isn't. One is being drastically worked on because it's sold, which means it's probably going to be more of your rush job. And obviously the options are chosen by the people that have bought the house. The house that's next to it, although it isn't finished, will have the better work on it because it'll be slower. Upgraded options that the neighbour wouldn't have had because they've paid for. So that's chic on as well, that obviously you might move into a new build that you worked so hard to pay for, and you love all your options, and then see your neighbour that's got everything better than you, free of charge.
So, for example, we've just got a standard cooker.
Yeah.
Because the fancy cook, what is it?
The induction hob.
The induction hob, it was an extra like 200. I can't remember the price.
It was more than 100. It was a lot more, because that's another thing with a con, premium prices.
Well, yeah.
You're paying for a premium with a new build, but even the options that you choose within the new build, so like a spotlight is £65 per spotlight. A plug is like £50. So you've got to put into perspective, obviously, if you want an induction hob and that's your dream, you've got to also realise that you've got to go to the option 4 for your kitchen. You can't just have an induction hob on the basic kitchen.
I'm sure there's a possibility you could go for the basic range and then outsource the...
Yes.
The raw ways of that, you just obviously got to, but like I say, next door, they had one put in to entice someone to buy it. They had the spotlights put in to entice. So basically, they had an extra about 500 quid's worth of kitchen appliances put in for free because it wasn't selling.
Going back to where we discussed about when we opened the door and that like the grouting wasn't done, or it was, but it was dirty. A lot of other things as well to the rush job, grown up new build stereotype. We did have a lot of problems, didn't we? A lot, but
I think that the main problem we had is the first time we had a shower it leaked, so they clearly hadn't turned it on. They clearly hadn't turned it on, and if they had, they hadn't turned it on.
We had 3 leaks, might I add. We had our downstairs sink, our sink in our bathroom, and our shower. The shower was the one that created the most problem because it created a ring on our living room ceiling, and that was like the second day we moved in. It was the morning we moved in.
Can you hear that fucking bike?
I can, yeah. Sorry guys if you can hear that fucking bike.
It's just annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's that whirring. Yeah, we had a leak, and it wasn't until that we called someone out. They did a botched job. We had to wait for Taylor Wimpey to come back because we moved in over Christmas. We had to wait for Taylor Wimpey to come back after New Year's to come and do it to fix the botched job, where they noticed that there was a leak in 2 other sinks, which was creating obviously a problem as well. So double check, which we didn't do.
I mean, it wasn't Taylor Wimpey's fault.
It was the builders.
So the leak could have just been an accident, right?
Yeah.
However, they didn't turn it on to test it because
I would say it was an accident if it was just one. The fact that there was 3 leaks.
Yeah. But then when we called, so they have like Taylor Wimpey employ like a service company, and obviously it wasn't the whole company. It was just one person that come out to fix it, and he fixed it, and he didn't fix it.
Botched it, created more of a problem.
Yeah.
What else was there? I mean, we had skirting boards that didn't meet up, did we? Which isn't the end of the world because our bedside table covers where it is. What else did we have?
A few cupboards were slightly out of line.
Yeah, so they had to come and like tighten or loosen and like re-align the kitchen.
Was it...
Scuffs and marks on the walls. It needed repainting pretty much in every room, on every wall.
There was just like minor things. If like, I reckon if we invited someone in to come round and look, they probably wouldn't notice it. But it's like, you notice stuff as you, like, example, it's not a biggie, but like the bathroom panel, it's got 3 screws in it and 3 caps. It only had 2 caps on. Cap would have been like a 50p.
If that.
But
again,
but it's not just the cap, is it? Yeah. It's
the screw. If we had a child, it's like, and again, I think we have mentioned this in a video already. When they would come out and fix the job, so like when they come out and did the grouting, which what I was about to say is I think we have mentioned this in a video already. They'd create one job. No, they'd solve one job and create another. So we had someone come out to change the grouting. They did the grouting, made a complete mess of the house. So obviously left me with the cleaning. But not only that is they used a sink instead of a bucket to do the grouting, which blocked the sink, which meant someone had to come out to take the sink out to unblock it, which in the process they chipped a tile. Yeah,
so one job and they made 3 errors.
Yeah, not only that, ruined our property in the process.
Which was frustrating.
We also had like, now don't get me wrong, this is not Taylor Wimpey's fault, it's the builders, and it doesn't matter who you buy a new build with. Unfortunately, we did have some like not great things. Obviously, the standing knife was one. We had a screw sticking out in our bedroom, didn't we, in the floor?
By the way, we love our house.
We absolutely love our house.
Like, there are just some things that are crap.
Yeah.
And like, you know.
The screw was like that long, sticking out the floor, and you had to get a thingy to...
What they'd done is they'd screwed upwards and they'd just left it.
Yeah.
So...
Again, if we had... that would come out the foot.
And there was literally no way of...
No.
You couldn't have hammered it down.
No.
Because...
You couldn't get it out or anything. It was upwards. There was a hole in the floor, which creating a draft, which was about that big. Again, why was there a hole? Like, they should have seen it and been like, oh, there's a hole there.
We had a nice carpet fitter that sorted that out, didn't we?
Yeah, unfortunately.
That's one thing to consider as well, which isn't really a con, but so if you don't have your flooring done through Taylor Wimpey, obviously when you have your flooring and you have the flooring price, you probably have to have your doors adjusted.
Yeah.
So like shaved off. 9 times out of 10 they charge for that. Our fitter was kind enough to do it as a kind gesture because it was our first house.
Yeah.
So that was kind of him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like 20 quid per door.
20. I think it was 30 quid for the first door and then 20 for the rest. So it's like 6 doors, 5. It's over 100 quid extra. That's another price.
But the thing is, even if you did pay that, you'd be paying less than what Taylor Wimpey would charge for it.
I've got another con, and I don't know whether this is either accidental, it's extremely common, or extremely uncommon. So, like, just for example, our kitchen window, it was a certain size, and when we tried to find the blinds and buy...
It's like new builds go off a completely different
Random
standard of windows, which I don't know if that makes any sense, but our kitchen window and our like curtains for all our rooms, oh my god, trying to get the right size. They are all like in between sizes, so you've either got to go bigger or smaller or custom like how we had. Nightmare, weren't it?
Yeah.
You end up spending more money just because the windows aren't a normal size. You can't paint. Allegedly, you can't paint for, they say, 6 months, which we haven't. We've been in 6 months and we've not painted anything. And you think 6 months is loads of time. We're 6 months in and there's still lots that we need to buy and do around the house. I personally think 6 months is a good time before you start picking colours anyway.
Yeah.
You've got white walls. It's not like you've got to paint over red or anything.
If someone buys a house and they think, yeah, that might be a con for some people, actually, not for us, but like when, like say, that's one thing you can't change. Like the walls will be this colour, won't it? You want the house and you're like, oh, I want it blue. If it ain't blue, I ain't buying it. Which I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have that outlook, but you don't know. You don't something like I've always said, something somewhere you have to draw the line, and it will either tip you over the edge to do it or be like, nah, it's not for me. And if someone can buy an old build and say 500 quid, and then because you don't know someone's circumstance, if they can say 500 quid and be like, right, that's the paint for the house, that would suit them better. But for us, it would make sense to make more and just...
We also noticed as well, which obviously with new builds, you will obviously get, what do they call it? Not stretching.
A shrinkage.
Shrinkage. So when it's hot and cold through the seasons, it shrinks and it cracks and you have dinks and stuff. We're noticing that we're getting like little, like pound coin sizes, maybe a bit bigger, of like where it looks like someone's just got a broom and done that on the ceiling and it's like chipped away some of the paint. It's like we'll hear a little bang and it's like the house has made a noise and then all of a sudden we'll see a crack in the ceiling somewhere. As well, the day we moved in, which is not good, there were cracks in a lot of places, like the windowsills, along the stairs.
Obviously, we're saying all of this, and a lot of the issues we had, they can be sorted out, and there's a lot that they will do. But it's like if you pay for a snagging company to come and do the snagging, which that costs money, that's then handed to Taylor Wimpey, and they've obviously got to get it done. For us, we didn't pay for that because we didn't have the money. So then it was like, it's then down to us to be like, right, this is, can you do this, can you do that, can you do... And there are a lot of things that we've had done. But for example, one of our walls might be not straight and we don't know. And it could be like not intolerance and it might actually need sorting. But we wouldn't know that. It's the things that we know is like
cosmetic.
There was a leak. Oh, cosmetic.
Yeah, so like the painting, if there's like drip marks in the painting or smear marks, things like that is what I draw my eye to. So when I opened the door and saw orange floor, I was like, that's not the floor we chose, why is it orange? It was a bit, for me, I always said, obviously, as long as it's structurally sound and it's not going to fall down on us, but I don't really care if the wall's not straight because...
Although I don't want to talk about my mother's house because this is obviously ours. She paid for it and they noticed that her door had blown, even though she said the door was, so they had to replace the door, but she didn't even, she said it was fine. So
it depends on how anal you are. Like I said, we weren't that particularly bothered by things like that. Ours was cosmetic.
We didn't have the money.
We didn't have the money, but ours was cosmetic. As long as cosmetically it looked nice and the options that we chosen, we got the full value out of. If you're really anal and you're panicking about everything and you think, oh my god, the wall's not straight, each to their own. Do what's best for you. That's my best advice.
Yeah, if you've got the money, I'd probably do it. But we didn't have the money.
We wasted our money on surveys before, so we got an extra survey with our solicitor. Obviously, they do a survey on the grounds, they do a survey on the actual property. We paid for an extra survey, which I can't even tell you what it was actually for. Realistically, if we hadn't have got that extra one, which cost about 400 quid probably with our solicitors, we could have probably afforded a private snagging company to come out after. But again, like I said, if they'd said, oh, by the way, your wall's out of plumb or whatever they say, by 10 centimetres, it's not straight, I would have been like, okay.
As long as it's been structurally sound, but...
Yeah. Which even then, we don't know if it is. If it's going to fall down, it will fall down.
I mean, I think it'd be alright.
I'd like to think so. The money we've again spent on it.
Yeah.
What else would you say is a bit of a con? I personally think you do spend a lot of money on a new build. We wanted a new build because we've explained many a time, I wanted a new build. I knew I wanted a new build. I didn't want a renovation and I didn't want to put the work in for a renovation.
Is this a con on the interior?
A little bit, but what I was going to say is it's expensive. That's the only thing that you're, like, you buy a new build and everything's done for you. You don't have to do anything because it's not a renovation, but you are having to buy everything new. If you buy an old build and you're quite happy dealing with the wall colour and the carpet and the flooring that they've got for 6 months while you have the money, when you buy a new build, you've got to have the money before you move in.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do. But we paid for our kitchen to be done, which gave us a dishwasher, a fridge and a washing machine.
Yeah.
That was like an extra 1,400 quid. If you can get all them free for, I mean, listen, we could have
family.
We could have got them second hand.
Yeah.
Off people, like, we're not stupid. We could have got a second hand for 200 quid. We could have got a second hand washing machine for 200 quid, and we probably could have saved probably half of that money. However,
we have bought everything new, haven't we?
Yeah, and the pro is we've got warranty on a lot of the stuff for like 2 or 3 years. So they're actually pros, but don't know how we've got talking about pros. That's
not the video. That was last video. It stinks. I can't do it. I have to cat bum it.
Swallow.
Oh. It's apple juice. It's just apple juice.
We'll think of one more con.
I tell you what, that was really aggressive. Sorry. It was like I was threatening you guys. If you have a new build or an old build, I'd like to feel like, obviously we have a new build, so we talk about our new build. But any homeowners, put in the comments what your con was when you moved in.
Even if you live in an old build,
what was your con? What was your one bugbear that you, when you moved in, you were like, oh my god, I hate it, or
it was an issue,
a snag, or anything? Let us know.
Yeah, because obviously, you know, we are still young, and this isn't going to be our forever home. So obviously, we're still learning. Do you know what I mean? And I'm more open for.
You just love to mess.
Why not? I'm open for anything when we move to our next house. I'll build a new build. You're more set on new just because of what we've done.
The ease of it. It's the
convenience.
The convenience of being able to move in and it actually being all done for you. I've always said if we was to move into an old build, it'd have to be fit to standard that I could move in that day. Like, obviously, painting, that's fine. I can paint, but like I'd want my kitchen and my bathroom to my taste. Yeah?
Yeah.
Boom, chaka laka waka boom. I can't read that.
If you know, leave a like rating, please subscribe.
Please like.
Yeah, please leave some things in the comments.
Comment, like, share, subscribe.
If you've got anything you want to see, anything you want to know, anything you want to ask. You know what I mean?
Know what I mean?
Don't forget to follow our home account as well.
Look at my pretty candle.
Top quality.
Top quality.